Hello, friends. My name is Deepak, and I'm a tax code advisor. Today, I want to talk to you about something very important that is currently happening in the state of Texas, and that is setting up of a new stock exchange. You can imagine what happens when you set up a stock exchange in a particular state. It attracts so much eyeballs, so many people, so many businesses because they want to invest in that particular state. They want to set up new businesses. So this one decision of setting up a stock exchange in Texas is going to have a major impact. Now, it's still a couple of years from now, but the current news that I'm gathering is that more than likely the stock exchange will be located in Dallas. So I know many of you guys have been thinking about moving to Dallas or been talking about Dallas for a long time. Perhaps this will be the reason why you would decide to come here. Obviously, it's going to increase the housing prices as this news spread and as people get to know more about that. But I wanted to share some important insight with you. I made some notes as to what's happening in this industry. So I thought maybe I'll tell you what is happening. So, first of all, the idea here is that Texas Stock Exchange is going to transform Dallas. It will turn it into a major financial center. The stock exchange will provide businesses with the access to capital in a very unique way, in a very business friendly way, because Texas obviously doesn't have state taxes, and more importantly, they don't have that many regulations either. So I think this is going to encourage a lot of small businesses to come and experience Texas. Now, maybe some of you guys are not as familiar with the state of economy of Texas. So I'm going to share some numbers with you guys. So that will kind of give you a better understanding as to what's happening here. Number one, Texas ranks number one for most new jobs in the country for both the last month as well as for the entire year for 2024. Now, a lot of that has to do with a lot of migration that happened in Texas from California and from New York. Texas has been ranked number one for the past 12 years for the most new economic development projects. Number one for the past 12 years. I mean, that's a huge number. Texas has more employees in financial sector than New York. So you would think that would be a sufficient reason for Texas to have its own stock exchange. Now, obviously, one of the concern you can say is, hey, in order to have a stock exchange, you need a lot of power and you need a lot of data centers. So Dallas already has sufficient data centers to support a rapid transactions for the stock exchange. So they already got that covered. And Texas has greater ease and speed to add more data centers compared to New York, New Jersey, or California. Like if they need to create a new data center, there's plenty of land, there's plenty of labor. It's cost of setting up the infrastructure is lower, so they can do all that. Texas Stock Exchange is best funded to seek permission from SEC already, so that's already starting to go in the right direction. Key leaders, from NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, Charles Schwab, and some of the other major players in the industry are already joining the Texas Stock Exchange. So you cannot really have a stock exchange without the help of these people. Some of the lead investors that we know, they're already participating in. Texas provides more than 100,000 megawatts of power on a summer day, more than New York and California combined. So sometimes people go like, oh, they just don't understand the the scope of work involved here. I mean, think about that. Texas provides more power than the New York and California combined. I mean, can you just imagine that? And people, and I say that because sometimes people complain. People say, "Well, you guys have power problem, you have this problem, that problem," and they're not completely wrong, but they forget that how big it is. Now, uh, if they're already providing 100,000 megawatts of power, what about future? If they add 30, 40, 50 data centers, what would that do? Well, the currently Texas plan to increase power generation by 50% by 2030. So we are in 2024. Just by in 6 years they're going to increase it by 50%. The state is investing in economic incentives for dispatchable power like natural gas, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well in a little bit. But you can see that the government is actually thinking a long term. They want to become a prominent player in financial sector, not just in Texas, but all over the world. So, having that said, you might be wondering, okay, it looks like you have a good case why that could happen, but why on the earth would Texas want its own stock exchange? Um, shouldn't that be New York or somewhere else, some other hip city like San Francisco perhaps? So I think that's a mindset problem. For years and years, people don't see Texas the way they see New York or California. But things are changing. Texas is making a big move to become a major player in the world of finance, and it's not just because they want the bragging rights. There are real reasons. There's a whole lot of things that is happening over here. One of the big reasons for creating this new stock exchange is to give businesses in Texas and other part of the country easier access to money. To help them grow without dealing with all the extra rules and high fees like you would find in NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange. Just I don't know if you're from finance world, you probably already know this. If you want to go public, you have to hire a whole bunch of people to help you prepare to go public. A lot of regulations, a lot of numbers has to be in order. It's very expensive. Now, once the Texas Stock Exchange is set up, more than likely it is going to be a whole lot easier than having to do this in New York or for that matter anywhere else. So it's going to make it easy for people to take their companies public. Right now it's not that easy. So you might be saying, well, okay, money is one thing, but is there any other issue? Yeah, take a look at NASDAQ, for example. NASDAQ introduced some crazy requirements. They said uh, the companies need to have certain kind of diversity in their leadership to even be listed on NASDAQ. Now, some of you may say, okay, that's a good step. But for some companies, that might be annoying that, you know, I'm here to run my business. Why do you have to mess around with my business? Let me run the business the way I like. Why? What does the government have to do with this? So some companies are just simply not happy about that. They want to run their business their way without needing to explain every decision they make to somebody sitting in some fancy office. So here, Texas is stepping up. They want to come up with a more business friendly approach. They're saying, hey, if you want to focus on running your company the way you like it, you want to play with your rules, you want less regulations, you want better tax treatment, then come here. We're here to help you. It's all about giving business owners more freedom and cutting down on red tape. And honestly speaking, Texas already have some heavy lifters backing them up, and I think that list is only going to grow. People like Ken Griffin from Citadel and even BlackRock are joining the Texas Stock Exchange. Now, you might say, well, wait a minute, isn't BlackRock all about social and environment standards like ESG? And some of you might be even surprised to see BlackRock getting involved with Texas. Yeah, but all companies hedge their bets. They might not talk about it. They might not make a big deal about it, but they're hedging their bets. For example, um, Trump had recently said that he is going to focus more on oil and gas. Yet Elon Musk is supporting him. He just held a big rally with Trump just a couple of days ago. Once again, it's all about hedging your bets. Now Texas has managed to raise almost $120 million to kickstart this new exchange. Now that's a lot of money, and that's catching people's attention, especially considering how much money has been moving out of places like California and New York. Mainly because of migration. So ever since the pandemic, there has been a huge wave of people and businesses leaving places like New York and California, heading to Texas and Florida. Those two states has been the big benefactor. In fact, over $1 trillion of wealth has moved out of these states. $1 trillion. That's a massive shift. It's really what's driving Texas to say, hey, we need our own stock exchange to serve all these new companies setting up here. We want to help these new businesses. We want to take advantage of this opportunity and make sure these businesses stay here. They don't want businesses to leave Texas and go to California because that's where the funding is. They want to make it easy for small businesses, even medium-sized businesses, to get that funding here locally in Texas. So big shift is happening. So I would not blame them. Texas is not wrong, at least not in my opinion. They have grown a lot, especially in last few years. They now have almost as many Fortune 500 companies as California, which is huge deal. Some of you guys might be surprised, like what? Yeah, they're also the leading in job growth, especially in financial sector. Companies like Goldman Sachs and Wells Fargo are also expanding here. So it's not about New York or California anymore. Texas is becoming a prominent player. So if you're ignoring Texas right now, I think you're making a big mistake. You really should be paying attention to Texas. So is it all about just cutting cost and avoiding fees? although those two are major reasons for consumers and businesses. But there are other reasons too. Texas want to make sure that this new stock exchange works for everyone. That's why they want lower fees. They want better liquidity. They want more predictability. They want to make it easier for people to get listed. Basically, they want to make trading cheaper and easier so that more companies join in and more investors will join in. So I think that's a good point, right? Wouldn't you agree? So it's all about creating competition. When there's enough competition, cost automatically goes down. So right now, New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ are the two dominant player in the market. We all know that, right? Which means they can charge whatever fees they want to charge. So Texas sees an opportunity here, and they want to create more competition, which could help everyone in a long run. Now, some of you may argue about the power problem. So you know, we do have some power problems here every now and then. One of the main reasons why Samsung decided to set their factory, few miles away from Austin was mainly because of power problem. They figured that you know if Austin were to see another power crunch like that happened a couple of years ago during winter freeze, that could be a big problem. So some people were worried about that, and Texas, on the other hand, is saying, look, we understand the problem, and they have made some big moves to secure their power grid. They even passed laws to make sure there's enough electricity for everybody, including all these new businesses as well as data centers. They're also giving incentive for companies to set up their own power solutions like natural gas, which means they're not just relying on public grid. It's all about being part of big push to make Texas the go-to place for new businesses. So yes, power is a problem, but I think they're rapidly working on solving this problem as well. So I think many of you guys are probably by now thinking that, okay, we understand that Texas is attracting a lot of small businesses. They want to help companies who want to go public, who are looking for funding, and they want to make it easier for them to set up their operations here. Um, but is that all? No, Texas is actually attracting everyone. So we obviously know about Tesla's story. Tesla moved their factories from California to Austin back in 2021. Tesla also built a major manufacturing facility called Gigafactory near Austin. Similarly, Oracle. I think many of you guys are probably familiar with that name. Oracle moved its headquarters from Redwood City, California, to Austin, Texas, back in 2020. Hewlett Packard is another one that you might know. They bought one of the foundational companies of Silicon Valley to the Lone Star State as well. So that's a good thing. Charles Schwab, a major financial services firm, moved its headquarters from San Francisco to Westlake, Texas. So that's again near Dallas, Fort Worth area. So I mean, did Charles Schwab already knew something like that happen? Who knows? But I certainly believe they're probably involved in it in some capacity because they are a major player in financial sector. CBRE is another one. That's a world's largest commercial real estate firm. They moved its headquarters from LA to Dallas back in 2020. So once again, they are also involved in a lot of real estate transactions. So no surprise they're moving to Dallas. Caterpillar, the world's largest construction equipment manufacturer, announced in 2022 that it would move its global headquarters from Deerfield, Illinois to Irvine, Texas. Dropbox, I think many of you guys who are in IT probably familiar to Dropbox as well. Well, it's not a full headquarter move, at least not yet, but Dropbox has been expanding operation in Austin, and their CEO, Drew Houston, also moved to Austin, reflecting a growing presence of the company in the region. Pabst Brewing Company moved its headquarters from LA, California to San Antonio. Dimensional Fund Advisors, they're a major investment management firm, moved its headquarters from Santa Monica, California to Austin, Texas in 2019. Toyota North America is probably another name that you recognize. They also started their migration in 2017 and completed the relocation around 2019. So I mean, I don't want to bore you with all bunch of details, but a lot of major big names has been also moving to Texas as well. So the main point is it's not just about smaller companies, but even big names are moving. And honestly speaking, you cannot set up a big city without having big names on your side, because we need those. They're the one who are providing the employment. They're the one who is providing the benefit. So we need those names as well. So it's good for everyone. It's good overall. Yeah, so my 2 cents here is that they're not just focusing on big corporations, they're also supporting small businesses, medium-sized businesses, giving them the tools they need to grow, whether it's capital, whether it's tax breaks, whether it's less regulations, whether it's giving ecosystem for growth. Texas is working in all directions. So as far as the stock exchange is concerned, it is a bold move. It is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Will the stock exchange will I ever get established? It's still a couple years ago, a couple years away from today. So we'll see how that goes. Will they be able to actually compete with NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange? That will be interesting to see. Will big players even accept Texas Stock Exchange as a proper place to host their business? So we'll see that as well. So only time will tell. But one thing for sure, Texas is making a very strong case for being a new hub of business in America. It's no longer about just New York and California. So if you're ignoring Texas, and at least if you're not treating it same way, if you're whatever you're seeing in California today will happen in Texas 10 years from now. If you're in New York, whatever you have seen in New York, that will happen in Texas. I mean, Texas is going through a major shift right now. So please don't ignore it. Come to Austin, Houston, Dallas, visit it, take a look what's happening. I would hate for you to come here 10 years from now and say, look, I missed out. You really need to pay attention to it. So if you're a business owner looking for more freedom, fewer fees, Texas might just be your place. So if you have got your thoughts on it, you agree, disagree, I would love for you to put that thought in a comment so we can discuss it. If you come to my Wealth Summit that is happening on November 10th, it will be a major event. I would love to talk to you there. And maybe at some webinar, seminar, or one of the live local meetups that I do, you can always discuss with me there as well. So if there is anything I can do to help you with your capital gain problems, with your high income tax issues, or if you're thinking about setting up a new business, a new company, and you're wondering whether you should do it in Wyoming, Delaware, California, Nevada, or perhaps it should be Texas, then talk to me. Maybe you're watching me from somewhere else in the world and you're thinking about coming to the United States and setting up a business. Then please talk to me before making any major move, because these things can have a major impact on you overall. Not just from tax perspective, but even from a business perspective as well. So those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Deepak, and I'm a tax and business coach. I help people solve their tax problems and help solve their business problems. So if your business is struggling, or you want to figure out how you can grow your business, and perhaps you're paying way too much in taxes and you want to figure out some of the ways to lower those, then I am your guy. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Just go to taxcodeadvisors.com and set up a consulting appointment with me, and then we'll go from there. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll look forward to seeing you somewhere in Texas. If not, then perhaps in California, because I do spend a lot of time there as well. Thank you. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.